What's up, guys? Welcome back to Pete's Carport, and on today's episode we're kind of doing something we did not expect to do. So Xavier came out today to work on Frank, which is our drift build sc300, and he brought along with him this car here, which is the one that we picked up, the one owner sc300, a while back. And he started to try to drive it, and he was having a crazy rattle noise or wobble up front, and we got the front tire off and realized the inner tie rod was completely shot. So instead of recording, we just went ahead and pulled the inner tie rod and went down and got another one, and I decided that I was going to record this. So I got the replacement part of this recorded, but never got a chance to show you guys how to take this off. By far one of the simplest things I've done on any type of suspension component, and it starts really with taking off the tie rod, inner tie rod end there, which is what was bad. So we had to pull that boot back. So you're going to have a hose clamp here on this end of the boot, and on the other end you're going to have one that uses a Phillips head. You're going to pull the boot back, and it's basically held in, and you guys will see this towards the end of the video when I put it back in, with a kind of a made nut that you're going to have to use some channel lock pliers or something to get off. That is going to basically turn counterclockwise to remove. Once you get that off, you're going to see that this one had the Alright, so we've got the tie rod. So you've got your outer tie rod, and what we're going to be replacing is the inner. And as you can see on this one, that was the issue. So these will go bad over time. You can see all the grease is basically just sitting right there. This actually has some power steering fluid on it, which we know the steering rack might have an issue. But right now, to keep costs down for Xavier, we're just going to go ahead and swap out this tie rod. So we picked up a new one that Advance actually had in stock, and just so you know, they don't come with a new boot, so hopefully your boot's good and you're going to just reuse that boot. And this was only $9.99, so very inexpensive part to replace. I will post the part number from Advance, and it comes with basically that little washer piece there, and I'll show you guys how all that came off and goes on. It came with a little bit of grease in there too, because you're going to want to grease your parts. So let's go ahead. We're going to basically reuse the outer tie rod like I said, and to show you guys what we did once we got the inner off, we counted the amount of turns, and you can see kind of where it was at, how many turns it took to take it off. So it was exactly 13 full turns. We want to make sure we put the new one back on, turning this 13 full turns on. You've got the this nut here that will go on first. You're going to place that on, and then you're going to turn this on 13, and then you're going to tighten that nut up to it so it doesn't turn anymore. And that's going to allow you to have a very similar basically alignment to what we had when we started the project. You're going to want to get the car aligned after this, so Xavier's going to be putting new tires on and getting the car aligned, and he should be good to go at least. We're hoping the steering rack doesn't have any issues. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this set up. So you want to go ahead, this is our new inner tie rod. I want to take that bolt off, so that allows us to slide on our boot. So once you get your boot slid over this, you want to make sure you get the clip that's going to hold on the boot slid on. You're probably going to need to use some pliers to get that over it, like so. And now we can get our new bolt put back on, which you're just going to want to put on, you know, as far as you need. Alright, so before installing your tie rod, you're going to want to slide back your boot, and that grease that came with it, we're going to want to grease right up in that ball area. The other thing is, your new tie rod should come with a new washer like this. You're going to want to slide that on like that, and then we're going to basically install that end first, tighten that up, and then I'm going to show you guys how to get each tie rod end set up. Okay, so the easiest way to install this inner tie rod is to basically have it separated from your outer tie rod to get it in first. Now we're basically got our boot on, and we've got all of our clamps on, and we're going to turn it, we're going to hold the boot back a little bit so we know we've got the threading in right, and then we're going to get it started counterclockwise. Once you know you got your threading in, you can kind of let go of that boot and start to tighten it up. Now once you get it hand tightened, you're going to want to grab yourself a pair of pliers like this, to where you can really grip it and turn it, or a crescent wrench if you can get it in there. I found that the pliers worked a lot better, and so I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up, hand tighten as hard as I can, and then we're going to add our outer tie rod on, and we're going to get everything set up for the alignment, and basically we're going to turn that 13 turns, which is what we found taking off the old inner tie rod. So let's go ahead and get set up and do that. Okay guys, now we're going to add our outer tie rod back on, which we did not change to be new, but it was in good shape, so we decided to go that route. And we're going to turn this on 13 full turns. So let's go ahead. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then we're going to take this nut here and tighten it up. Okay, so our next step is going to basically be realigning the knuckle and your tie rod here, and this is going to be able to slide just a little bit under that, and then should be able to just press right up into place there. Now don't forget that you have your pin here, which does not come with the new one, and your nut that looks like that. Now what this is going to do is going to be torqued down, and I'm going to find out the torque specs to that, but I'm going to tighten it down to where I can get this pin in there first, and then we're going to go ahead and torque it. We'll torque it down, and then we'll get our pin put in. We're going to tighten it up to where we can get the pin in. I'll give you guys those torque specs here in a second. Okay, so according to a manual online, I found the torque for this bolt is 64 foot-pounds. So we've got our Pittsburgh Harbor Freight torque, and hopefully we can get it as close as possible. There we go. And she's all set. Now the next thing you want to do is get that pin set inside there so that it locks it in place. So grab our pin. We're going to slide that in. Open it up. And there we go. So the pin's all set inside there. Now the last two things you want to do before getting your tire back on are to make sure that this nut here is tightened up. I used a nice crescent wrench and just kind of tightened it to that so it doesn't jar loose. And then we've got a clamp that's connected to our boot. So once we get that hose clamp on the other end, you see this hose clamp here's on. We'll basically seal off that boot from getting dirt and debris inside there. And then we'll put our tire back on, torque that up, and be able to take it for a test drive. So stay tuned. So guys, good news. Xavier's car is driving awesome, and the next step that we're going to be doing with his green sc300 is throwing some coilovers on there, and then we're going to start probably doing some modifications. But that is really going to be the next step to make the car run really good. He's already looking at getting some rims that he really wanted to get. He's got an awesome theme. I'm not going to reveal to you guys, but we'll be doing that on the channel. And Frank is now finally in position to start getting the LRB speed panels put on. I just didn't have any room with all these different projects going on. The 190E video coming out very soon. I got the spacers in. We're putting those on. The rims will be getting brand new tires on them, and the car should be back on the road very soon. So the main focus is really getting this car on the road. And then I've got some really good news. Decided to play around with the S500 that I've got over here. This is the black 1995. It's got the AMG two-piece rims on there. And so I sprayed this with the Rust-Oleum turbo spray, and 2K cleared it. It came out pretty good, but I was very, very happy with the color match. That was my main thing. I'm going to be going and wet sanding this whole thing and re-clear coating it, because I think the clear coat that I used was already at that point of expiring, and it kind of left a hazy, very orange peely look to it. And then we're going to be redoing this panel here with the turbo, and we're going to be doing the bumper, and I think I'm going to keep this car. I mentioned many, many times I'm going to be selling it, but I love this car so much, and the goal was to sell that and rebuild the S600, but I know the S600 is going to take a good amount of money to get fully back on the road, but it will be very valuable to somebody out there that has the skills, that has the money to put into this car, because this car here could be worth $30,000, $40,000 completely redone, and I just don't have the time to do that right now with all these other projects. So this one's so much further along, and it was the car of my dreams. It's the long wheelbase. It's got the reclining rear seats with the heated seats, and every feature on it I finally got working. So we're going to focus on getting this more of a VIP style car. We're probably going to do some things to it I won't reveal right now. But yeah, good news, Xavier's car is back on the road. You guys have an awesome week, and there's lots of content coming out. I've got tons of videos that I'm working on editing, and you guys stay tuned. Like, subscribe, and share. Have a great week, guys. My name's Pete. This is Pete's Carport.